Hi, happy Sunday, happy Sunday. Thank you so much for joining in for this session. Just waiting for my team to finish setting up something and then we should start. I hope your day was okay, you've remained blessed. Let me see who's, if you're there, please just send a wave. Just send a wave. If you can hear me, send a wave. Just tell me if I'm okay. If you can hear me, we should be starting anytime soon. Just waiting for a thumbs up from my team and then we start. But anyway, guys, today we are going to be talking about the second pillar of relationships. And if you're new here, if this is the first time that you're visiting this channel, please subscribe if this is your kind of content, because I am all about mental health, personal development, empowerment, therapeutic sessions, counseling, psychology. That is my niche. So I want to welcome each one of you. And if you have a friend who you know will benefit from this content, please invite them, because we are not going to leave anyone behind. Please invite them, just share the link. We've decided to go live due to technical hitches, as I said. Technology, we are still learning, but we will get there. Okay, we will get there. Part of growth means accepting where you are falling short, but we will get there. So today I'm going to be talking about personality, temperament, and of course the very big question that everyone asks, narcissism. So I'm hoping by the time we are done with this talk, that we'll be able to understand which personality, which temperament is predisposed to narcissism. Okay, so that said and done, I think we are good to go. I can see my team telling me we are good to go, so we will start. Please invite a friend or two, Let us share in this space of mental health. So what is my objective today? Of course, first of all, let me say thank you. Thank you so much to everyone who has watched the previous videos, has come into my inbox, given me more ideas, given me feedback. I am honestly and truly grateful. And if you're new, once again, I would really urge you to watch our previous videos, especially the ones we have done on relationship. When we talked about the self, there's part 1 and part 2. And today I want to move on to the next pillar, which is personality and temperament. I'll start with temperament. And what I want to say, guys, is if you listen to this, can I say free sessions, these teachings that I give, let me tell you, you'll save yourself a lot of costs. Okay, because one thing that I can assure you is you won't really need to go for therapy. You won't really need to go out there and pay professionals to help you solve your relationship issues, because what I share here is part of the techniques, the skills, the knowledge, and the theories that we use in the therapeutic room. So as I said, this is basically meant for everyone, because relationships are everywhere. We are always at a place where we are relating with other people. So what is my objective today? And why did I think of temperament? Because temperament talks about who we are. There's a way naturally we have been created. So temperaments actually describe who we are. And if you can be able, first of all, to understand your temperament, and then in extension, understand your partner, your child's, your sister, your brothers, basically those people, your support system. If you're able to understand people around you, it becomes very easy to relate with them. Okay, so my objective today remains, first of all, to help you understand yourself. Secondly, to help you understand the people around you. And then third, to make the relationships work. Relationships within you and around you. Okay, Now, this talk is going to be very short and sweet, 45 minutes at most, because today I'm just going to talk about one temperament. Next Sunday, God willing, I should be able to pick up on the remaining. But today, it's just going to take 40 to 45 minutes. I am aware today is Sunday and we need to go and do other things. Now, what is, people come in and they ask me, what is the difference between personality and, temperament? Now, temperament is a person's natural makeup, okay? Natural. There's what we call animalistic instinct, okay? But this is the natural wiring that you have that affects how you behave, how you think, and how you react to life, okay? I'll repeat that. It is how a person is naturally, and how this affects how you behave, how you think, and how you react, okay? Now, this means that our temperaments bring in a lot in us. They bring in the emotional aspect of us, they bring in the mental capacity, they bring in our moral attitudes, and they bring in our self-awareness together with our dreams, okay? Together with our dreams. So what I'd like to say is that our temperaments really, hi Doti Doyo, karibu sana. Knowing your temperament can actually help you to understand why you behave the way you do, why you react the way you do, and mostly why you think and feel the way you do. First of all, as a person, okay? Now, let me give you a little bit of history. There was a doctor back in those days, we're talking about 460 to 460 BC, okay? And after, really engaging a lot of, a lot of people within the medical framework, yeah? Being a physician, he actually realized that people were a result of some body fluids, like the way people were behaving. He observed his patients and he realized it's like, most people are driven by the fluids that are in them. Now, I'll explain this more, but ideally, what he was trying to say is that most of us are a result of imbalance there's an imbalance, in our body when it comes to our fluids, okay, which was very, very interesting. And it says that our behavior was brought about by lack of these fluids, okay? So each temperament, he related them to 4 other fluids. The first one, blood; the second one, yellow bile; the third one, black bile; and the fourth, phlegm. Now, I want to say that temperaments are 4, okay? There are 4 types: choleric, phlegmatic, melancholic, and sanguine. All right, so today we'll be basically talking about cholerics, because I feel a lot of people tend to kind of like misunderstand people who have choleric temperaments and kind of associate them with narcissism. But we will be able to understand this later once we are done on this topic of temperament. Of course, it will take 4 other sessions, but I'm hoping that as you go on, you'll be able to pick out that which you are. If you belong to the ladies group, I had sent out a self-test for the personality and temperament test. And if you're new and you're not in the ladies group, please just DM me. I'll be able to add you into the group. We talk about, personal empowerment, mindset and all that, okay? Now, I'll move on to the next thing. There's this guy called Galen, okay? Galen now came up with another theory that that temperaments are basically classified according to can I say the heat. So he talked about hot, cold, and then dry and wet, okay? So the theories are kind of like very, very different. The theories are very different, but as we go on, we will stick to the one that we know has already been proven and is working in the day and age of today, okay? Now, let me just bring in a little bit of difference. I know, as I said, people normally ask, what is the difference between personality and temperament? Personality is a characteristic. When I talked about temperament, I said it is how naturally you're wired. So it means personality is a makeup of temperament, okay? Or rather, personality is a constituent of temperament, okay? So when we talk about personality, it falls in and within the temperament, okay? So I'm hoping that you're able to understand that. And if you have a question, please feel free, reach out, ask me to clarify. I will do so, okay? Now, let us start with choleric. As I said, I want to keep this within 40 minutes. Let us start with cholerics. Who are these cholerics? Because personally, if you ask me, I'd rather have a choleric spouse. I'd rather have a choleric, friend, because they get things going. Now, I'm going to be describing this in a very simple way, kind of like a layman's term, so that we all get it. I don't want to use a lot of theoretical terms, just something that you can, easily digest. So allow me to just quickly associate the symbol first. When you talk about the symbol, is when you think of a choleric, what do you see? Okay? And ideally, cholerics, their symbol is fire. Fire. Okay? So already that can already give you a mental picture of who these people are. Okay? Number 2, what body fluid are they associated with? That is the yellow bile. Okay? And the yellow bile is what filters toxins out of the blood, I think, or out of the body, no, out of the lymphatic system. It means the yellow bile actually helps to fight the disease. Again, this brings out a very important element about cholerics, and we will see as we continue understanding who these people are. When we look at the season, cholerics are a representation of summer, okay? Summer season, all right? So you can already see that these are people who are warm, okay? And when things get extreme, they can really blow up, just by the symbol that we have seen of fire, okay? Now, cholerics have the following characteristics. Cholerics have the following characteristics. Number 1, they're very confident. Very confident, okay? They're very outgoing. These are people who can stand and command crowds. It is how they are wired. I always say it's like they are born with the confidence. Cholerics naturally don't struggle, when it comes to things that require them to be somewhere where they are addressing people. It is almost so natural, okay? So they are able to do this very, very well, okay? Now, the second trait that they have is they're very goal-oriented. Very goal-oriented. So it means that they get things done. Okay? When a choleric decides to invest in a project, when a choleric decides to do something, they will not stop until it is done. Okay? They will not stop until it is done. And let me just say this. A lot of the times when couples come in, or people are coming into the therapeutic room, part of the things that they bring in as issues, especially when they're dealing with cholerics, is this person is focused on her own projects, on his own things, and he is not giving me the attention. Why? They are very extremely focused, when it comes to accomplishing things. And most times, this interferes whenever there are relationships involved, okay? And because they are very, very goal-oriented and they want things done, they can come out as being rude, okay? They can come out as being abusive, they can come out as being demeaning, and they can be belittling, okay? This is because they are can I say again, can I use that word? They are extremely focused on doing things that anyone who comes on their way, you remember the symbol of fire? Anyone who comes on their way, they will not shy away from doing anything that they need to do to deal with that person. It's a kind of mentality whereby if you don't get out of their way, they're going to, to destroy you. That kind of approach. Okay? Now, cholerics are also they're kind of like can I say they love controlling people, and because they love controlling people, we can actually say they're very, very manipulative. Okay, they're very manipulative. So the main can I say that the main mentality or perception that they have is my way or the highway. You either obey or you get out of the room. Okay, they always seem to have everything figured out. Even when it comes to a family, you would have a spouse who really doesn't care about what you feel. Let me just be very blunt. They really don't care what you think and what you feel. Okay, they have already figured out how they will make things work. They already have done their calculations in their head, and they feel they're justified to go ahead and execute without your input. Again, it still goes down to that aspect of being goal oriented. Okay, so they're very manipulative, and they bring out a lot of emotions in this tag pull and pull thing, because they want to have things done in a particular way. Okay, now control, when someone is controlling, when someone is manipulative, and when someone has or a fixated approach to their goals, the next thing that they do is they become very, very domineering. Okay, very, very domineering. Okay, as I said, if someone wants to control you, it means they're above you. Okay, and they tend to kind of like overshadow. If you really want to know a choleric, able try and see what happens even when they're preparing for a certain thing. When they're preparing, they end up like even overshadowing others. Okay, they end up at overshadowing even in their own dressing, because there's a way they look at life, there's a way they're doing life, there's a way they want to do things, and they love really, because of their focus, they really like, trying to, show that they are up for it, and they can be able to manage. So it is so important that you realize that anyone who comes out as strongly domineering, is a choleric. All right. Now, as I said, they're very, very goal-oriented, and I'll still be connecting these personality traits, these characters, so that you can be able to see how they interlink. All right, they're very strong-willed, very strong-willed, and it comes in. What is strong-will? When someone has a lot, willpower, it means they have combined confidence, they have a little bit of knowledge, they have focus, and they have what it takes. They feel they have the energy to go the mile. So they're very, very, cholerics are people who are very passionate about what they do. Give a choleric something, a project. As long as they believe in it, they will run, they will make sure they are available to do this thing, and to not only just to do it very well. Cholerics are the kind of people who will burn the midnight oil, doing something. They're the kind of people, and I hate to say this, who will come home late after they are done with what they were doing out there in the field. Why? Remember what I talked about. Focus. Focus. They want to make this thing done. And at the end of the day, what makes them really, their hearts tick, is that accomplishment, knowing that they did it. So if you have a spouse who is always, very much, involved at work. They're putting long working hours. They are very manipulative. They can be domineering. You never have discussions about projects that you want to do. It's all about, I have decided, because maybe the money is mine, that kind of talk. You need to be really, really, okay, let me just say this, because someone tell you, oh, you're really making us, yes, I want to teach you guys to be, yes, psychologists within your own homes, to understand people, because when you understand people, you're able to really, kind of like, can I say, coexist without having the push and pull. Okay, so part of, I can say this because, as a counselor, I have seen a lot of clients coming in with issues that are related to choleric partners. Choleric partners are drama. They have a lot of drama. Okay, so if you don't let them domineer, if you don't let them, do things the way they want, whatever they have fixed as a goal, if you don't let them do it, there'll be no peace at home. Okay, that is just, as I said, their temperament. It's a natural makeup. That's how they are made. Okay, so you must learn how to understand them for you to be able to kind of like, have peace. Where there's no understanding, of course, you'll end up having what? Disagreement in your in your house. So it ends up now being very ugly, because one of the traits, again, with cholerics is they must win. Cholerics never lose. They never lose. I want to say this. They never lose. I will repeat this again. If it means being abusive, if it means belittling, if it means, doing whatever it takes, they will do it, just to make sure that they win, and that just to make sure that they prove a point. Remember, the main symbol of a choleric is fire. Fire. It means this person, the way they are created, they have an ability to kind of like burn you. All right, so put that in mind, because a lot of our houses are on fire because we do not understand our spouses, we do not understand our sisters, our brothers, or people who are basically living around us. Now, let me say this. There's a good, cholerics have very good and bad traits. And one of the good traits that choleric have is that they're very what would I say? They are very good when it comes to emergencies. They are very practical in how they do things. Okay, so what happens is that, they respond to issues, very, very well, very, very well. They respond to issues very, very well. If something happens, if you have a friend who's a choleric and something happens to them, they will move in immediately. They always have things figured out. Hi Brenda, I can see you waving. Karibu. Judy, I've seen you. Okay, so they will come in handy. Wallace, thank you so much. They will come in handy and do whatever needs to be done at that point in time. Let me share a secret with you. Sometimes we always say, oh, my partner, oh, my son, oh, my daughter. We are always pointing fingers. One thing that I always say is, try and get to tap into the good traits, the good side of every personality. Hi, Esther. Hi, Sarah. Please try and tap into that, because if you can, you'll end up less stressed. Okay? Now, I'm sure most of us have experienced this within relationships. Dora, I can see you. Cynthia, I can see you. Petal, thank you for joining. Cholerics, what we are talking about, for those of you who have just joined, Mercy, I can see you, thank you. For those of you who are just joining, we are talking about cholerics. And I just take you back a little bit. We're saying that temperaments are the natural makeup, like a DNA of a person. But personality is something that contributes to the temperament, okay? We know temperaments, there are 4 types, and personality traits come in I think there's 16. So for those of you who are new to this channel, please check out the videos we have done about relationships, kind of like try and wipe yourself around them, because this is part 3. We have already done understanding the self, so this is a continuation. And if you're also new, Ruth, thank you for watching from Lebanon. If you're also new here, please hit the subscribe button. Support mental health. We'd like to empower everyone so that your what do they say, would your trips to the therapist, your trips, seeking for help are reduced. What I'm giving you here is free information that will help you cut down costs to go and see that marriage counselor, cut down costs, to go and see that pastor because you're having issues. Okay, all you need is knowledge, and I am here to give you knowledge for free, guys. So if you have someone who can stand, from benefiting this in the, this content that I'm giving, please invite them, share the video, let them come in and just learn. Okay, the good thing why we are doing this on YouTube is that you can go back and retrace. Okay, so I was on the 7th trait of cholerics. Cholerics can be impatient, they can be aggressive, they can be inflexible, they can be rude, and very intolerant. All those traits are in one WhatsApp group. I don't think you can be impatient and tolerant. So if you're impatient, you're intolerant, okay? And when you're impatient, because of the aggressive nature in you, you tend to be a little bit rude. You tend to be a little bit unempathetic. Eh? Whatever you say is very selfish, all right? You do things because, you want to be, you want to just, it's a selfish kind of approach, okay? So this kind of people don't have any patience, okay? And then this is something that I find very interesting. When cholerics are angry, when they are annoyed, when they are disappointed with someone, they will never go out of their way to do anything for you. They will never stretch. In fact, the more you keep on pushing them to try and kind of make things work, is the more they become irritable, okay? They become so irritable and they end up uttering insensitive words to you. Of course, I'm sure some of you will ask me, Venus, my spouse is, a choleric. How do I deal with him? He's very abusive, He's very manipulative. He's very controlling, He's very, when he does things, he just puts us aside and he really focuses on, yes, there are ways that you can do this. There are ways that you can work around a choleric, okay? But you need to know and to understand their personality first. And I want to say this to a lot of women here. Of course, I'm not. Can I say that I'm not? Can I say I'm not gender biased? But a lot of also the men who are choleric can sometimes end up losing good women because their focus is elsewhere. Okay, so the woman, because the woman thinks with her heart, she feels left out, she feels unattended to, she feels, abused, manipulated, all these things that we have said, and she ends up doing other things that, of course, kind of put the relationship at risk. And the same is true also, because we have women who are extremely cholerics, okay? And they end up also being very, very insensitive to their spouses, which, of course, again, throws the relationship into a hole, okay? Now, what I want to say is that in that space where cholerics are manipulative, they really love, dictating their friends, their partners, don't do this. If you're my friend, don't talk to so and so. If you're my friend, don't, there's a level of manipulation whereby it's, if you're not really showing them loyalty, because they love loyalty, if you're not showing that you're on their side, they completely cut you off. Now, within a relationship, any partner who's a choleric, if they happen to be on the wrong side with someone else where there are issues of conflict, they will actually, they don't even request, they make, they actually, can I say, they direct you to stop talking to the other person, okay? That is part of the kind of manipulation they have. And without any reason, they will never tell you, this is the reason why I am requesting you to do 1, 2, 3. They will just tell you, from today, I don't want to see you walking with so and so. I don't want to see you talking to so and so. I don't want to see you, going to, such and such a place. These are cholerics. And again, I will say this. A lot of us tend to feel that cholerics are narcissists. Okay? But I would say that we can have cholerics who are not narcissists, okay? So we need to understand that. And of course, as we go on, I'm going to demystify this. Now we are on the 8th trait of cholerics. Cholerics are very unempathetic. Cholerics don't like things to do with emotions. They don't like to see tears. They don't like to see this lovey-dovey stuff. They just can't relate. So if you're around a choleric friend, partner, and you're shedding tears, they kind of like, they hang. They don't know how to deal with you because, for them, they don't have those feelings, Of course, there are those temperaments that can relate, their semantics, but cholerics, because of how they are made, how they are wired, they just don't like feelings. And that's why most of the time you will find them on the extreme, which is being rude and abusive. Now, when it comes to tears, they check out. So if you're a man, who likes to cry, yes, men cry. Man likes to cry, in front of your wife, and your wife is a narcissist, she will not be able to relate. In fact, she'll be wondering, are you using those tears to manipulate me? All these words will come out very, very strongly. And if you're a woman who has a choleric husband, please, if you need to cry, go and lock yourself somewhere in a room and cry alone, please. Cry alone, wail, shout if you must. But don't show these tears to your spouse because they will end up now doing things that will traumatize you. And this is not that, let me put it this way. It's not that they are not normal. They are very normal. I am bringing to you, what has been theorized as traits, or characteristics that cholerics have. Now, let me say this, and I want to just kind of like narrow down all these, characteristics and tell you one thing that you can take to the bank. What is the basic desire of a choleric? What is the basic desire of a choleric? The answer is plain and simple: control. Cholerics love control. They just like to feel like they have that steering wheel. They like to feel like they have, everything operating under their desires. So the main desire is control. So that means if you have a spouse who's a choleric, you must let them be. And if you have to challenge this trait, it must be done within a very certain kind of like environment. If you come in too strong, you will end up losing this person. You will end up kind of like having conflict because what you're doing is like, the way someone can have a head, like you're hitting that person, that person's head. Okay, so learn to try and navigate or circumvent this basic desire. If you can be able to just realize that that is their basic desire and kind of like, work around it, you will have a very, very good relationship. Now, I want to say this. It is not good to lose yourself, in pleasing someone else, okay? But it is important to be able to kind of like work around people. Because truly, when we are getting married, when we are getting into relationship, when we even get these brothers and sisters, sometimes we are born in families where even our daddies, our mummies are cholerics. And they have been controlling us from the time that we are young, such that by the time we get into adulthood, we are very bitter people. Because we never ever were asked to express ourselves. It was about do this, do that, do this, do that, And if you didn't do that, you were met, with very, very hostile, kind of response. All right. So it's very important, people, that we learn, to master the basic desire. That one, I will highlight it even as I go on to the other term. Please master the basic desire. Now, this is where the juice is, that control. If you can work around it, if your spouse is a choleric, please do. And I think what I'm going to do, I'll ask my team to just post the test so that you can be able to do the test. If you're in the men's forum, I'm going to post the link for the test so that you can get to know what your temperament is. The first point of every relationship, any pillar in a relationship is knowing yourself. So please go and do the test, then at least get to understand yourself, and you'll see a lot of what I'm talking about, especially if you're choleric. Okay, now the other question is, what is the choleric's emotional need? Number one emotional need of a choleric sister, a choleric brother, a choleric father, mother, spouse, employer, boss, whatever: loyalty. I said it before, loyalty. And loyalty kind of goes with manipulation, okay? So they want to feel that, you're on their side, So these cholerics will pull you, they will push you, and will demand for that loyalty. And if they don't see it in you, they quickly log off of that relationship. And that is why today you're finding many people have moved on and they never turned back. Why? Their own makeup, cannot allow other people hurting them. Take, for example, a sister who went behind your back and did something that did not please you. So it hurt you. And because you're not that kind, as I said, cholerics are not kind of people who will sit down and talk, empathetically, trying to sort out. They don't know that, okay? They are very head on and they can be very rude. As I said that as we started, very, very rude. And when they're doing this, it's not that they're doing it, out of desire or out of will. It is just something that comes out of them, okay? So this person, this sister of yours or your brother, she went innocently. She did something. She did not know. Okay? Or even your wife or your husband. They went out there, they did something. Maybe they even thought it's going to make you happy, but it didn't. So what happens is cholerics ideally check out. Where they feel there's no loyalty, they will drop you down like a hot potato. It doesn't matter whether you're blood, whether you're what, they will drop you like a hot potato. So number one emotional desire of any choleric is loyalty. They love loyalty, okay? The second one, and this one you will notice, if you have a choleric, someone who's super choleric, you will notice they love being loved. They love being recognized. They love being appreciated. They love being praised. These are the cholerics, and they go an extra mile to ensure that they even dress the part. These are the guys, the bosses, or where they look for an expensive suit, because when they're walking into a room, okay, they will command respect. They will get the attention. So guys normally ask me, by the way, Venus, does it mean that cholerics are attention seekers? I wouldn't say that. But deep down within them, they love they love being appreciated. You see, now they will not give you the love. They will not show you, because they don't know. But when you come around them and you just show them how much you appreciate them, that becomes the fuel that kind of like, keeps them, running, okay? So if you remove this, if you kind of like pull, that wire out of, the system, then you leave them, very hostile. You leave them, they become very hostile. They become disinterested with you. So cholerics are like that. And can I say that because of that, a lot of cholerics are caught up in infidelity. And I will put infidelity in caps. Why? Remember, we said the basic need is appreciation, love, being recognized. So if you are a spouse and you're not doing this for this partner of yours who is a choleric, they will go out there and look for someone who is doing the same for them. Okay? Sometimes it's not that they want to. And I want to say this, it's not an excuse, but I have kind of like studied people who come in, and give me very authentic stories about why they fell out of, a relationship, or why they ended up, seeing someone else besides their spouse, And I've realized that the other person actually kind of like just lured the bait that they needed, they dangled the low hanging fruit. They realized that this person likes attention, they like being loved, they love being appreciated. So when you as a spouse, you are busy, annoyed, giving silent treatment, not bothering because you just feel that you are hurt, this other person came in at the right time and gave what was needed. And there you go. Something now begins happening and a relationship is being threatened. Another one is, So what I always say is, please, the rule of the thumb, don't let the sun go down when you're not talking to your spouse. Don't be arrogant. Don't be, try and mend whatever has been broken. Try and talk things out. It is not worth it. Because the moment you create a rift between you and your spouse, between you even and your any other family member, a sister, a brother, because you just feel like you don't understand them, you end up losing this person who has been there, for you for longer than someone else who will come in pretending. Okay, so I always say when you understand people, and that's why I say this I must give out here for you to be able to learn. If you can understand your spouse, okay, they become your project. You learn how to deal with them. You learn how to go around them. Sorry guys, let me just charge my phone. You learn how to go around them. Otherwise, when you are busy thriving in pride, you will lose someone who is just white. The way, this is me, this is Venus. I have a long chin, I'm brown in color. That is the same thing when we're talking with about temperament. There's a way God just made you. You are wired that way, okay? And it takes a lot of unlearning some of these very bad traits, over a period of time so that this person can now become, better in relationship. But it also requires that that person is willing. Okay, and one of the challenges that we have with cholerics is that they are very hard-headed. You'll try and tell them, oh, let's do counseling, and they're like, I don't need counseling. You're the one to go for counseling, and they will even pay for you. So that is who they are, So you have to learn how to just try and make things work. And as we go on, I will share how you should work around these people. Because if you don't know, relationships with these cholerics cannot last, okay? They cannot last. And I want to say this, cholerics are very good people, by the way. They're very good people. If we learn to adjust, let me tell you, there are people who can really, create wealth. They can, because of that goal-oriented, trait in them, they can even be in a marriage for long. The commitment is there because they have very strong willpower, okay? So it's so important that we realize there's no secret, just trying to work around them, okay? By understanding them. Now, what controls the choleric? That is the other question I had put down. Two things. And if you can also understand this, it will become easy for you to deal with this choleric friend, choleric partner, choleric neighbor, choleric boss. You will find it so easy to kind of like work around them. Two things. Anger. Remember when I said the symbol of a choleric is fire. Now these guys flare up. They're the kind of people you can be in a party and guys are dancing, everyone is, the mood is right, people are, and then someone just says something that just trickles and touches the bone, That is where hell will break loose. Cholerics are the kind of people you can be so happy in their relationship until you drop a comment. That just makes them, turn and ask you, did you just say that? Are you serious? Why? And they blow this thing out of proportion. It becomes, in fact, it's like, you yourself can be left confused, like, what did I do? Like, my God, and you'll even question your own sanity. You will even doubt your words because you're thinking, my God, this is something very trivial for someone like this to really react, okay? So what I want to say is that because of this trait of anger, this emotion called anger, it is so important that you also kind of like watch how you talk, learn them, and especially those, who are our spouses, learn what they love to hear and learn what they just don't like to hear. Okay, don't use words that they don't like. Okay, these are the people who will go into bars and someone will insult them, they will take a bottle and hit that person and even threaten, and just say, take me, I don't care, you take me where you want. And we've seen such people even within the political framework. Okay, so what I want to say again is that, when you're able to understand why someone is reacting in anger, then you're able to know where they belong. People who are driven by emotions of anger are basically cholerics. Okay, I will say that because choleric is one of the, and I would say this, in fact, narcissists have very many traits, but I can tell you a choleric is more predisposed to being a narcissist than any other temperament. Why? When you look at their characteristics, 80% of the characteristics that cholerics present are actually the same characteristics that narcissists have. Okay? Especially that manipulative trait. Okay? Now, the other thing that controls cholerics is work. All these guys, so long as they have a project, so long as they have something in front of them that needs to be done, they will do it. They will put in the hours. They will burn that midnight oil. You will be busy there crying. Oh, my husband has not come. I've just called him. He's told me that he's at work. Women, or you're ever traveling because you're really pursuing, you want this promotion. Okay, so work can basically drive a choleric crazy. Why? That willpower, thank you Nekoye, that willpower makes them want to really finish up projects. Okay, they make them want to really do this thing and also prove a point. Remember that part of like they want the attention, they want appreciation. It's because they believe whatever they are doing deserves a level of appreciation. Okay, so those two things, anger and work, control cholerics. Okay, now, this is the most interesting part. And maybe once you hear this, you'll be able now to place your spouse. So who is best placed to become, what are the careers that kind of favor cholerics? Or what are the careers that most cholerics choose? First, they're the ones who go to the army. Okay? You remember the symbol of fire? You remember they have anger? That is now recipe for being out there in war zones, okay? So they love being in the army, okay? Then they can make very good sales. Yes, Kapleo, thank you. You have gotten it right. They love, making very good salespeople. These are people who are given, work time frames, they're given targets, and they actually are able to surpass. Why? As I said, willpower. They will burn the midnight oil. They don't care whether the wife is crying. It's about, I want to do this so that we can make money. I want to do this so that we can create profits. I want to do this, So they're very goal-oriented, and they actually hit those targets. The other one, and Kapleo has said it, is they make very good leaders. Very good leaders. And I will say this. Why cholerics are good leaders is they have some of the traits that are needed in leadership. Now, put away the empathy because they're not empathetic. As I said, they can be very rude. This, if your boss is a choleric, and I know most bosses are cholerics, they'll come and tell you, by the way, I gave you this work and you have not finished. Can you give me reasons why you have not finished this work? Because when I look at the other people, they've already submitted their emails, they've already done. What reason do you have? No empathy, absolutely. Okay, so for them, they're looking at, this was the goal, this was the target, you have not done it. Can you explain why? And if you try to challenge them, then the lack of empathy comes in. They can be very rude. they're very intolerant, very impatient. You'd start talking and they tell you, can you wait for me to finish talking? I'm the one talking here, okay? I'm the one who came to your desk, okay? So those things come out, because sometimes leadership requires people to be pushed, So they make excellent leaders. Now, the other one is politicians. You cannot be a politician if you don't have some of these traits, manipulativeness, goal oriented, okay, good planning, all right. Sometimes it requires you to be kind of like insensitive, because I mean, when you're abused in public and you hit that person head on right there, so politicians also, most of them, let me just say 50% of politicians normally are cholerics. So the question now comes in because of time. How do you deal with cholerics? How do you deal with cholerics? Someone will ask me, Venus, how do I deal with my choleric wife? How do I deal with my choleric husband? How do I deal with my choleric son? How do I deal with my choleric daughter, and so on? First thing, appreciate them. Appreciate them. I would want to power this up, I don't know how many times. Appreciate them, recognize them. They thrive on that. That is the fuel that will put a smile on someone who's a choleric. Okay. Number 2, listen. Don't argue. There's something, we always say when you argue with a choleric, you're triggering them. You bring out something, you make them, now kind of like, you make them now go into a place of anger. Okay, so just listen carefully. Don't really want to kind of like have that, push and pull. Okay, listen to what they say, acknowledge you have heard. If you need to appreciate that you have heard, just appreciate and move on with life. When you try to challenge, a choleric, I could say this, it may not end up as you expected it to be. So we must be very, very careful. And I always say this, kind of like take the servant position, Okay, you're the boss. Me, I'm here. I'm listening. Even, take notes and all that. Especially like if you're in an office setup. Okay, I hear you. Yes, I've taken. Repeat after that. Because it kind of like, it soothes their ego. It really elevates their ego, okay? So that is one thing that I would like to emphasize. And please, this part of being emotional, as I said, please, leave, if you have to cry, go and cry elsewhere, not in front of a choleric, because the kind of questions they will ask you, you will be left traumatized for a few days, because some of them are like, now what are the tears for? Is it that you can't deal with facts? Is it that whatever I'm telling you is really hitting you hard, that you're shedding tears here? So as I said, they can be very, very insensitive. So if you really want to operate within a normal framework and not be traumatized about how this person treated you, please deal with them and go and cry elsewhere. Don't show them their tears. They don't relate with tears. Cholerics are not empathetic at all, okay? And the last one is, please don't trigger them. Don't trigger them. Please, don't trigger them. They themselves, they are gaslighters on their own. They are gaslighters. Cholerics are people who can start a fire. And that is why their symbol is fire. They can start a fire, they will fan it within minutes, and it will blow, everyone around them. It will burn everyone around them. Okay? So please don't gaslight. Don't try to trigger them. Okay? If anything, I would say this, keep them as cool as possible. And one of the temperaments that we're going to be learning about, their element is water. So this temperament actually goes hand in hand with cholerics. So people who are cholerics, if they get married, of course, with people who their symbol is water, of course that house will have peace, because one person is the gaslighter and the other one is the peacemaker. So somehow this house is able to go into a place of neutrality. All right. So as I said, please don't trigger cholerics. This thing of you're having a spouse, you're having issues, you go on social media, you're trying to be sarcastic. My friend, they will deal with you appropriately. Cholerics don't know how to really, think before they act. They will look for you and they will deal with you appropriately. As I said, they will burn you up. Okay? Now, cholerics can easily throw you into depression. Yes. If you have a choleric brother, sister, mother, dad, spouse, if you've dealt with cholerics and they have wounded you, they have traumatized you, and you never took time to deal with those emotions, it's either right now you're in and out of depression. And I say depression is, what I say, unexpressed anger. You know, depression is anger that has not really been expressed. Okay? So if you've gone through that, you need to address your feelings of the past. You need to address your wounds of the past. Because sometimes, guys, people can actually throw us in a hole. There are people who have actually died out of suicide because they were told one thing. And I talk about this little boy who was told he was going to repeat. His mother told him he's very stupid. She cannot be paying fees for a stupid boy. And this boy, I want to believe, may he rest in peace, anger took hold of him. And what did he do? After the mom called him stupid, he went to the mother's room, took the mother's lasso, and hanged himself in the mother's bedroom. Okay? So one thing that I want to say is, if you have dealt or you're dealing with a choleric spouse, we are always on a journey of, unlearning things, relearning. We are always on a journey of, reconditioning ourselves, rewiring. There is no time we can say we are at that space, we have arrived. The journey never ends. Okay? But where we know we have been wounded, where we know things have not been okay, it is good to have these issues addressed. Because living with someone who's abusing you, who has belittled you, who's always angry, and you keep on just taking those feelings, and you're not doing anything, you're not empowering them, you're not seeking counseling, they're not willing to go for counseling, the question remains, what is it doing to you? So you need therapy, okay? And I say this, going to a therapy is like going to a doctor, going to see a doctor. Just walk in, address this thing. This life is yours. It's yours, all right? The second thing is, cholerics can make you doubt yourself. They tamper with your self-esteem. Now, in that, that space of being manipulative, what they do is they're always controlling things like how you dress, who you talk to, who you associate with. They're always telling you, things. They make statements that make you feel like, is it that I'm dysfunctional? Is it that, that kind of thing. So it is so important that you also keep yourself on check. Work on your self-esteem. Because you are an individual first before being a sister, a brother, and a spouse, even a daughter and son. Okay? So it's very important that you also, if you're here for the first time, please check out the videos that we have done on understanding the self. Without understanding yourself, you're headed nowhere. Because someone can easily come and label you. Someone can easily, cholerics love judging people. By the way, cholerics, if there's anyone who can judge, and I don't know why I didn't bring out this legal, they make very good judges. They judge people just by seeing you. They're the kind of people who make comments like, I don't like this one. Someone comes to visit you as a couple, and your choleric spouse says, I just didn't feel her. I didn't feel it. I don't like this person. Kind of like we are not gelling. Such kind of comments. Okay? So it makes you think back and say, is it me who's associating with the wrong people or what? All right? So understanding that aspect, that cholerics can not only tamper your emotions and throw you into serious depression, they can only also deal with your self-esteem, make you doubt yourself. And what happens to you? you get into that frame, that scale, that what would I say, that scope of being abused. Because whatever they do is not only emotional, it is physical, it is psychological. Okay? So these things, they abuse you holistically. They don't leave any stone unturned. They're very good when they're dealing, with manipulation and abuses. All right? They are, and let me say this: if you're here and you're a choleric, okay? If you're here and you're a choleric, okay, it's important that part of the diseases that you are predisposed to because of your makeup, your wiring, is high blood pressure. You're predisposed to heart diseases, okay? So you need to slow down. And this is because the fluid that controls you, okay? The fluid that controls you is kind of like, very imbalanced. It's the rushed kind of fluid, okay? And without taking proper caution and slowing down, reassessing yourself, and even asking people for feedback, how they feel about you, especially if this is your temperament, it can really throw you off. And then, as I said, you'll end up being caught up in infidelity, issues of infidelity, because you're always looking for people to love you, people to, to appreciate you, people to, that is another thing. It's your downside, And anyway, at the end of the day, you also end up being a disappointment to many people. Why? You're not stable. You're always on the run. Okay, who loves me? I'm here. You're not stable. You can't stick into one. You're always looking for that one thing: appreciation, love, affirmation. So where you're not needed, you will run away. And it's the same thing we also see in WhatsApp groups, where people are, they just leave group. And when you ask them, this group, I don't feel it, or, so and so joined, what. So it's so important that you realize that choleric sometimes can be very, very unstable. Okay? Now, that's it and done. My guy over there, Mindspa team, has just told me, Venus, you have gone excess. We've done 66 minutes. So I'd like to end this session here. Today we were talking basically about cholerics. Next time I'll be talking about phlegmatics. Please make sure that you, if you're available, you join in. And if you have any question, please feel free to contact me. I'm easily available. If you look at the YouTube channel, our contacts are there. And if you don't belong to the ladies group, for the ladies who are here, also please DM me. I'll add you to the ladies group. We talk about mental health. There's also another group for men. Feel free to reach. I always say during the week we are able, to learn. We are able to discuss things, that just surround our coexistence, as human beings, okay? And if you're new to this channel, please support me by, subscribing to the channel. Support yourself, your mental health also, because you'll be getting notifications whenever we are uploading videos, okay? And for me, basically, guys, it's just to empower you. I know a lot of people come in for sessions. They come in looking for therapeutic sessions. Some of them are not able to afford. And it really pains my heart, okay? So when I feel that when I share this information, it becomes very easy, for you to be able to have self-knowledge, and the self-knowledge empowers you to be able to tackle things without really visiting that therapist, without really, looking for Venus, without looking for your therapist, because at least you have a bit of knowledge, and, because of that knowledge, you're able to observe things that are happening around you, how people are behaving, and you're able to really kind of like, navigate or circumvent the issue that is at hand. So that said and done, ladies and gentlemen, can I say thank you so much for joining in on this live. I'm sorry again, the link, we always kind of like preset the link, but it always ends up failing last minute. Next time I'll just go live. I'll definitely send you messages. For those who I have contacts of, I'll send you messages when I do the live, because it's always easier. But the poster for the next talk should be out by tomorrow or Tuesday. Otherwise, thank you so much for your comments. For those who have questions, I'll go through the questions and I will definitely respond to them. Okay? God bless you. Have a good Sunday evening. Bye bye.